Zeitz Museum of Contemporary Art Africa will be gathering global artists and writers online for the Radical Solidarity Summit. It's aimed at addressing issues in the cultural field, both in Africa and the diaspora. Now, we're joined via Skype from Cape Town by a senior curator with the museum, Storm Janse Van Rensburg, to talk us through the summit and what's to be expected. Now, Storm, thanks for joining us. Tell us what the aim of the summit is and why the use of the word radical.
Thank you so much. The Radical Solidarity Summit is a time for us to also address urgent issues of our time and also explore alternative futures. I mean, the pandemic has thrown not only our institution, but many like us into crisis. And it's a moment for us to really kind of like interrogate and think what our role is in society, what place we have, and how we actually engage with others. So it's a moment for us of really deep introspection. You know, museums is not only a place for art objects or objects, it's also a place of gathering. And in the absence of that, we really felt it important to bring together thinkers, artists, to discuss and talk. What does our future look like in a changed landscape? So yeah, radical is about an urgency that we feel. It is also that a radicalness that's required to do things differently than has been done before. We need to come up with new solutions, new formats, and this is our time.
Yeah, I think it's something we've seen in various industries. That change that was expected to take place over 10, 20 years has now had to take place overnight. Now, the term solidarity, for instance, is a word we've heard often during this global pandemic and the subsequent global lockdown. What does solidarity look like in the world of the arts across the continent during this time?
Part of that is that the reason for the summit is that we also want to kind of ask others, like, what does solidarity look like? How do we connect and how do we support each other? You know, solidarity is something, of course, that also has a very strong, you know, in South Africa and our history is so important. And so we also tap into that energy and that ethos very much. You know, solidarity for us is also an understanding of connecting with others across our borders. And the kind of idea of the Solidarity Summit also arose at the beginning of the pandemic when we started reaching out to others through on digital platforms like Instagram and live conversations just to check in, to say, hello, what's going on in your neck of the woods? How do you deal with things? How do we kind of come up with solutions? You know, what is the positive side of this? And I think, you know, part of that was for us, the positive aspects that's come out is the connections that we've made and remaking. And so the summit is definitely going to address that.
Now, the summit starts on the 14th and runs until the 18th. Now, for that multi-day summit, you'll be gathering a range of disciplines spanning political science, film, visual arts, literature, as well as philosophy. You don't often see them under one roof, but how difficult was it, or important was it, to get that right mix of minds and expertise in one room, albeit virtually?
Absolutely, it was very important for us. So also what we've done is to kind of think about the notions of solidarity in various thematic aspects. So our first day really looked at a kind of a history of solidarity, not only in South Africa through, you know, what the struggle and what the transnational struggle process, but also in terms of Pan-Africanism. So it's important that we also ground this in history and kind of what's been there before. We're also looking at publications and distribution of knowledge. We're looking at urban politics and kind of how that impacts on artists. We're also looking at art collectives and how collaboration is such a cornerstone of solidarity. So, and bringing together these people was very important. We sent invitations out. The response has been overwhelming. We have really people not only from the continent and South Africa, but also as far as Jakarta and Saigon taking part in this. We also see ourselves not only, you know, part of the continent, but we are entangled with the rest of the world. And, you know, facing things in a very, I think, maybe globally and on a scale than never before. So it is also important that we, you know, kind of connect with others beyond our borders, and that those maybe borders can also start dissolving in some way.
So you're obviously going to have people with various expertise from around the world, by the sounds of it, tuning into this. Who else are you hoping will tune in and engage on these themes? And I suppose you wouldn't want it just to be at a very highbrow level, because at the core of it is to make art more accessible and educational for people across the board, ages, backgrounds and nationalities.
No, absolutely. And I think, that's also our program is varied. We have each day we will have not only a panel discussion or a conversation, but we have film screenings. We have a listening session with Chimurenga, which is really going to take you on an oral journey. We have really thought about that very carefully, that we also engage. And it's practitioners from a spectrum. It's not only academics or intellectuals that are taking part. It's really people that are also working in the field. We have an Instagram takeover by Black Star Lines Kumasi, which is based in Accra, Ghana, a young collective of young artists that are really kind of forging also new models and new platforms. So it really kind of like tunes in, and we hope it's accessible. Tickets are still available. It's 85 Rand for the entire week. For African residents and other international residents is 150 Rand. It's really nominal. We wanted to make it accessible, and students that actually cannot afford it can also let us know via link on our website, and actually we're also sponsoring tickets.
Okay, great. We're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for that information, and all the best for that summit going forward. It sounds like you're being prepared for some fascinating discussions there. That is Storm Janse Van Rensburg. He's the senior curator for the Zeitz Museum of Contemporary Art Africa, who are preparing to hold the Radical Solidarity Summit this coming week for 5 days, from the 14th until the 18th of September. You can go on to their various social media platforms to find out more.